Women are going anti-feminist, and they're saying men were right all along. And these stories are absolutely wild. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the compilation.
And let me just talk about this because something hit me yesterday. And you guys have to understand that what feminism did was it created a lane for women to disrespect and disregard men. Okay? And when I say this, you guys have to understand that what it did was it tried to pit women over men. It tried to make women seem like they were better than men, or that they could provide better, that they were more wiser, that they were smart, they were more intelligent, that they could do whatever a man does. And it's bullshit. The more you go along with the ways of society and the more you go along with the ways of feminism, the more you think that you're supposed to be above men. The more you think that you don't need a man. The more you think that you don't need his leadership. The more you think that you don't need to submit to a man. The more you think that he's controlling you instead of helping you. A lot of y'all ladies have adopted this feminism movement. You have adopted this feminism mentality, but yet you say you want a good man. A good man is not going to put up with a bitch that goes along with feminism. It just doesn't work that way. A good man knows his place. He knows his rightful place. He knows his spiritual place. He knows where he's supposed to be. He knows what he's supposed to do. But then when you come along and you have a certain mindset, he's not going to put up with that bullshit. And he's going to try to help you mold yourself and try to help you correct yourself and try to help you unlearn some things and help you learn some new things. That way you can better yourself. That way you can better the relationship. But a lot of y'all are so caught up. You got your head so far stuck up your ass that you won't even listen to this man long enough to actually learn something from him. Do you know that your husband, your spouse is supposed to teach you stuff? But yet a lot of y'all, you got good grades in school. You got the degrees. You a boss bitch. You got your career. You know what you're supposed to be doing, right? But then, career-wise. But then he comes along to better you, to enhance you. And here you come. I ain't finna listen to that. You not my daddy. Okay. So then leave that man alone because you're not ready for that level of man. Leave that man alone. Go find somebody that you can control. Go get you a beta male that you can control. Because an alpha man, a man that knows who the fuck he really is, he's not finna put up with your bullshit. And that's what a lot of y'all got misconstrued. Y'all think you want a good man. You say you want a good man, but all of your actions say the direct opposite. You want a Pookie. You want a Ray Ray. You want a Earl. You want a fuck boy. Girl, leave that man alone. You ain't even ready for him. Fuck out of here.
Totally 110%. I think I didn't find my husband yet because all the women expectations is really having the men go into a hole. Because who the hell is y'all to say y'all want a man that make $500,000 a year? They hide because of y'all unrealistic ass expectations. Send me somebody that got enough to make sure that I got lights on, water running, I'm smiling, and we eating. Y'all asking for the most. Y'all want a man to buy y'all a boat. I can't even say it right. Y'all want a man to buy y'all a boat, a yacht, and a crib, and pay for your kids' schooling, your desires, your kids' desires. Like that shit. You hear how unrealistic that shit sound? This how a lot of y'all women sound. Ridiculous. That's why we ain't got nobody yet, because y'all scaring them into a damn hole. Please separate me from everybody else. Husband, come find me. You ain't gotta make $500K for me. You could make $500. If you can make that shit work all year and I'm eating, I'm good.
I really do agree that women don't listen. I don't think we do listen very well. We're certainly not listening out for the right things. And therefore, I think it's a brilliant thing that men can buy podcasting equipment, have conversations amongst themselves. Because for the first time, probably in history, collectively, men are able to sit around with other men that they like, they respect, that they want to hear from, talk about how they really feel and what they're really thinking. One thing that we have to remember is when people are out in the wild, they can really be themselves and they get comfortable. They show who they really are. So for the first time, as a woman of any kind, any persuasion, you can't say you're unaware, you're ignorant, or you've misread, because we can actually hear, it's being recorded, it's being broadcast and published, what they really think about women, what they really think about dating and relationships, much less a whole host of other topics out there. So I don't think podcast equipment should be more expensive. I don't think podcasts should be taken away from men, because ultimately they are able to reveal themselves and their characters. The question is whether as a woman you are listening. You're listening well, actively listening, not listening to respond, listening to understand, discern, and then assess what works for you and what doesn't work. And like I said, it's not all men, but I think that the thing that we failed to realize, it's everyday men that hold these views. Seeing as most of us are everyday women, it means that we need to listen well to these everyday men.
Whenever men tell women that their standards are too high and that you're delusional, when I heard it back in the day, I used to be like, y'all are just some haters. Y'all are pathetic and y'all be on some hating shit. Like, women, don't lower your standards. Girl, do not lower your standards. These men are pathetic. They're just being some haters. Initially, that was my thought. But now, I honestly unfortunately, I have to agree with the men. Women are delusional and our standards are too high. Now, let me just go with me for a second, right? I used to believe it was on some hating shit. And I remember when Steve Harvey had his show, he was telling women, your standards are too high. You're going to, end up alone because no man is going to want to meet those standards, especially when they can get it from a woman with no standards. Like, the lower hanging fruit is easier to obtain. So they're not going to jump through all these hoops to be with you and meet your standards. And so I'm like, nah, that's just some guys, nah, that's some hating shit. But here's the thing. Most women are delusional and our standards are too high. Now, I'm not saying to lower your standards. I will never tell you to do that. I want women to understand what this really is, okay? So we all know, for the most part, that women were lied to about what and who men really were, right? We were lied to about that. We thought they were going to be these protectors and these providers, and they were going to protect us from harm, and, harm being other men, because, I mean, what, a charging wildebeest is going to come after us and the man is going to use his machete and protect, typically your number one predator as a woman is going to be a man. So you're going to protect us from other men, and you're going to be a good father, and you're going to be faithful, and you're going to be all these things. And men were never that. They were propped up by the patriarchy to pretend that they were those things. And when men tell us that we're delusional and our standards are too high, the secret is, it's not that they don't want to meet those standards. It's that they can't. The average man is completely incapable of meeting those standards. It's almost like expecting a 1-year-old to know how to do calculus in pre-algebra or whatever, right? They don't have the mental faculties to do it. And most men, even if they tried to reach those standards, they will fail miserably. Now, in the famous words of Princella, the patriarchy, aka the wheelchair ramp that they gave men, basically gave them a head start. And women, not only did we catch up to men, we surpassed them. And right now in 2024, we're surpassing them like a motherfucker, and they're crashing out, because back then all they needed to have was a job, to get a wife and to get kids, and that was it. Now women are requiring men to be a good person, be faithful, be loyal, be all these things, a great father, all that stuff, right? And most of them can't. It's not that they don't want to. They fucking can't. They don't have the mental faculties to do it. That is why our standards are too high, because we're expecting this macho superior being to be that, when really they're the ones that are inferior. And I'm saying the vast majority of them. There's a small sprinkling of guys who are self-starters. They're motivated by just themselves and they want to survive. And they don't need to they're not out here working hard just to get a woman and some kids. They're working hard for themselves. The very thing that can show you that these men don't have any self-motivation, look at how many men have been dropping out of the workforce because they don't feel like there's any light at the end of the tunnel. If these women aren't choosing them because you have to be a good person, you have to be loyal, you have to not cheat on me, you can't cuss me out and dim my light, you can't do all these, you have to be a good person. They're like, well,
well, fuck it. I'm not going to get a wife. These women are not choosing me because I only make $40,000 or $50,000 a year. What's the point? I might as well live in my mama's basement, right? Or have 5 roommates, you know? They're not even striving for themselves. Like, you're supposed to adult, whether you are a man or a woman, for yourself, so that you can have heat in the wintertime, so that you can have air in the summertime, so you can have a fucking roof over your head, so you can have a car to drive, so you can be able to afford to put gas in that said car. Like, you're supposed to want to do that for yourself. But they are like, if there's not going to be a woman and kids or anybody that I can control and lord over, then what's the point? That right there will tell you right there, all by itself, that they can't reach those standards. So yes, we're either going to settle for a man, or we're going to get lucky and find a guy who got his shit together, which that number is very, very low for the vast majority of women, or you're going to be by yourself. Those are the only options we have. I will never tell women to lower their standards. The higher you raise your standards, the less men will be able to apply, if you will, right? If you have on your job description, you must have a doctorate's degree or a PhD even, and these men don't even have a high school diploma. Most men don't have a high school diploma. I don't know what the actual number is on a high school diploma, but I'm just saying, most men they're not even halfway to the point of reaching those standards. So don't lower your standards. If you do, you're going to end up with a guy who's going to hate on you, right? These men are lying about the fact that they don't want to meet those standards. They really can't meet them. They can't. Much like the way that men lie about not liking independent women, right? So the part of them not liking independent women is true. These particular men, they don't like independent women, but they're lying about why. They're trying to say, if you're independent, you're masculine. And, you know, as a masculine alpha male, we want a feminine woman, and you're masculine. That's not the real reason. The real reason is I'm pathetic. I'm a loser. And every time you come home to tell me something that you've accomplished today, you're putting a mirror up to me and showing me how insignificant I am, how much you don't need me, and how much of a loser I am. That's really what it is. But they're never going to admit that because they have too much ego. They lie about everything. They project everything. All of their fears and insecurities that they have on the inside, they project that off onto women. They will literally do something and then turn around and say you're doing it. Much like when a man comes out of nowhere and swear up and down you're cheating on him, and you find out it's because he's cheating on you. That's what they do. That's just how they project like a motherfucker. So when they call us delusional, we are delusional, and our delusion comes from being lied to. Now that we know we've been lied to about who and what men are, it's up to us to move accordingly. If you still want to sit around and have these fairy tale views and these high standards or whatever, I'm not telling you to lower your standards. I'm not saying that. But just know, doing that, it's going to get you men. You're going to get got, basically. You're going to just keep attracting men that are going to keep using you. If you understand what men are, you should know how to be by yourself, or get lucky and find somebody that matches your fly, as they call it. So we are delusional until we decide not to be. And those are just my thoughts on that.
You want to know something that most women aren't ready to hear? Modern feminism killed chivalry. Modern feminism has shifted from seeking equality to promoting superiority and resentment towards men, framing men as oppressors rather than partners and equals. With the birth of modern feminism, there came the birth of the girl boss, I don't need a man. Chivalry was never meant to make women look weak. It was made to create a culture of mutual respect where men acted honorably towards women and acknowledged their virtue and grace. Modern feminism, by demanding sameness instead of equality, has blurred those lines. In trying to erase gender differences, it's erased the gestures that celebrate them. The result of this is now we have an entire generation of men who are not willing to honor, pursue, or protect women. We have this entire generation of men who just want to hook up on the first date, who have no respect for women, who don't hold open the door, who don't buy flowers, and it is because of modern feminism. Not only that, but it is also a result of weak men. There's a reason that our grandparents have the cutest love stories where the men pursued the women and they didn't have sex until they were married, and they respected and honored each other. And now we are seeing the result of the crash and burn of modern feminism, and unfortunately it is affecting a lot of women looking for life partners and a lot of men looking for life partners. Feminism is great. The idea of feminism is great to promote equality, but it has evolved into something that is toxic and dangerous to our society.
Trust me when I say that toxic feminism was the downfall for everybody. Nobody wants relationships anymore. And it's true. If you build yourself up to be a high quality man, all the women will want you. What makes a man a high quality man? A man that lives his true essence, that can be straight up to a woman. Women don't get mad, or at least some women do not get mad that you have a lot of women. They get mad that you do not tell the truth. They get mad when you do not tell the truth. But a high quality man will tell that woman straight up from the beginning. A low quality man will act like he's perfect, will act like he's like the greatest man on earth. Fake confidence. Do you see the difference? There is real confidence and fake confidence.
The first woman made a point that actually hit different from how it started. She came in seeming like she was going to be on some men are trash wave, but then turned it into something more honest. A lot of women are operating on a fantasy version of men that was basically sold to them. And the real takeaway isn't lower your standards. It's understand what you're actually working with. That's a mature distinction. You can keep your standards and be clear-eyed. Those aren't opposites. Then the second voice flips the whole thing. He's saying feminism created women who say they want a strong man, but then fight him at every turn. And honestly, both of these people are pointing at the same problem from opposite sides. There's a mismatch happening between what people say they want and how they actually show up. That's the real thread running through everything. The street life story was probably the most raw. She literally just asked someone to teach her. And that simplicity of just asking, not overthinking, not waiting, that was her survival skill. Doesn't matter what the context was, that instinct to seek knowledge directly from someone who has it is actually powerful. People are performing versions of themselves rather than being honest about what they actually need, what they actually are, and what they actually can offer. And then both sides end up disappointed and pointing fingers.
Hello, my name is Joy, and I woke up choosing violence this morning because I would like to debunk and explain why feminism is a crock of shit. I can already see the comments of me getting called a pick-me girl for this, so let's just get into it. Number 1, hookup culture getting disguised as empowerment. The sexual liberation of random hookup culture completely goes against female biology because of how we emotionally bond through oxytocin. Hooking up with random people is not empowerment. It's disgusting. And the fact that feminism tells women that they will be liberated after that is an absolute lie. You're not going to feel liberated. You're going to feel like a slut. And that just leads to the spiral culture of I need more, I need to feel sexy, I don't feel wanted or desired, so I'm going to go get it because I can, because I'm a boss-ass bitch. It's a lie. It's a complete, utter lie. Number 2, put in career over having a family. The narrative that traditional roles are oppressive. Like, show me where they're oppressive. Other than maybe the Amish and the people in Utah. What are they called again? Mormons, that's what it is. You can climb the corporate ladder all you want, but true long-term satisfaction in your life comes from strong relationships where people actually care and love you for who you are, having a sense of community, and raising a family. This pressure that women have to have it all and be that boss woman in the corporate world, it leaves them burned out. Okay, those are the chicks that are walking around 45 that are fat and overweight with their hormones out of whack that look like they are just stressed beyond belief because they've been chasing a lie someone told them would make them feel fulfilled, and it just doesn't. Number 3, feminism frames men as opponents, not partners. There are 100% bad dudes out there. I mean, like really bad dudes that exert their power and force to get what they want. They're tyrannous. Yes, absolutely. Those guys do exist. But attacking men in general, telling them that their masculinity is inherently toxic, is the most messed up thing on the planet. Men and women are different. Our bodies are different. Our hormones are different. Our brains are different. We are just different. We can be equal, but we can acknowledge our differences and understand that the yin and yang between the sexes is not the problem. It's a good thing. Lord knows we do not need more feminine men. We need more true, strong, masculine, healthy men in society. We could fix a lot of things if that happened. And that ideology that we're in competition with men and not that we complement each other will make your relationships suffer. Feminist women that try to get in relationships with men and have that ideology programmed in their mind carry it into that relationship, and it screws things up. And number 4, last but not least, the promise of total independence. Telling women that they need total independence to feel happiness is just going to lead to pure isolation. And listen, I'm a strong, independent woman, okay? I love just being able to do things on my own and figure it out and problem solve and all those things, but I still ask for help. A lot. Because I need it and I acknowledge it, and I go to my community and I go to other people and males in my life that I'm like, hey, can you help me with this? That does not make me weak. That does not make me less because I ask for help, because I understand that I need it. What's being marketed as freedom to women is just complete disconnection. And I think it's honestly really heartbreaking that so many women are falling for this narrative as if this is the answer that they need or that's going to make them happy. You can be a strong, independent woman without falling for this narrative feministic bullshit. And if you've been really hurt by a guy before, honey, I get it. I understand how this is so attractive, this ideology that this is going to be what frees you and you don't need a guy because screw him. I get it. Trust me. But just because you dated a jerk does not mean you need to go on the rest of your life living through an ideology that will inherently hurt you in the long term. There are good men out there. I promise you. That's all I got to say about that. I was kind of feeling feisty this morning, so yeah.
So this is how feminism has ruined the dating field, the dating experience, and even have ruined tons of marriages, right? So the first thing is, right, this whole idea of a whole phase, right? This whole idea of the whole phase is one of the things that I think that women thought, like, this whole free sexual liberation is going to allow them to be free. Like, that's a form of freedom. But let me tell you what it did to the dating market, right? When women got this message, right, and they heard this whole idea of freedom, people will use freedom to manipulate you, right? So that's a form of manipulation. Like, oh, you're gonna be free. You're gonna use your party parts, and you're gonna freely use it, right? So it's like, oh, whatever you were doing before, it was imprisoned, but now we're gonna free it, right? So this freedom came with just whenever you want to, however you want to, give it freely, because you're free to, use your, let me say intimate relationship, because I don't think TikTok likes that, right? So freely be intimate with as many people as you want, however you want. You're free. No one should judge you. No one should shame you, etc., etc. So this is what you all did. Those of you that bought into it, right? This is what you did. Pay attention to how you created the gender wars, how you changed the dating scene. So now, before, men, right? They used to, will go to battle just to be able to be with a woman intimately. Like, back, it was a battle. You couldn't even be with a woman intimately without being forced to marry her by the culture. You couldn't get a woman pregnant without being forced to marry her. Where I'm from Nigeria, right? And back then, right, if you got a woman pregnant, they made you marry her. That became your responsibility. You didn't run away from your responsibility. But this is what the modern women, this is what the feminists, part of the feminists, the toxic femininity, the toxic feminine movement have done. You have said you're free to be intimate with as many people as you want. So women was like, all right, cool. When I go on dates, I'll give this one, I'll give this one, I will 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 give this one. Without the repercussions, right? With more freedom comes more responsibility, right? So here's the repercussion of doing such thing, right? Number one, it made it easier for men to have access to the thing that they wanted all along. Men, as long as they're breathing, will always want to be intimate with a woman. And so now tons of women are liberated and are giving themselves freely to men because of dates or whatever, like whatever the dates are, whatever. So now men are like, oh, listen to what you guys did to men. Men are like, oh, I don't even have to do much and they'll be with me? Say no more. Men are at 1000% winning. You cannot beat a man in this game. And that's why a lot of women are so angry now. And now you use that anger instead of understanding that we have to undo some of the teachings. You think that, oh, well, I'm going to decenter men. I'm going to be a childless woman. I'm not getting married anymore because marriage is one of those things that are a slave for women. You make up all these things instead of correcting the behavior. Instead of saying, you know what? They sold us something that didn't make any sense. How on earth is freely giving yourself over and over to men and making them do less? Men, when I tell you, to the point where men probably want to get married later in life, because if I'm going to get all these goods, all these things freely from this one, I'm going to date this one, and they're just going to freely give me what I want, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to enjoy this heaven on earth. For men, this is heaven on earth. They don't want you to be that way, but if you're going to be that way, they're going to consume. And some of you are like, men need to stand up and be more leaders and stop this. No. Women have the power to stop this if you shut it down, if you close your legs with all due respect, if you say no more, if you say we want back the standards that we had before, and you raise your standards. How dare you ask a man to meet you at a higher standard when you lowered your standard? I just want you to answer that question with good faith. How dare you? And I say it's lowering your standards. Having everyone enter you and use you, right, is lowering a woman's standard 1,000%. We have to safeguard ourselves as diamonds. We have to safeguard our womb. We have to understand that we're a feminine being. We're very intuitive. We're one of the best things that God created when we're allowing ourselves to be the best of who we are, right? And so if you're just going to give yourself freely and act like you're cheap, and then men are like, oh, you think you're cheap? Okay, no problem. You want them to raise the standard when we can just easily raise the standard and shut it all down? So what I'm saying is this whole idea of this whole phase or, intimacy, liberation and all these other things. No, you literally messed up the dating market for yourself. Now, this is part one of the conversation. I'm going to come back and have a conversation about this whole idea that women in marriage are slaves. Stop. Another thing they're selling you now, and that some of you are buying into, is that marriage makes a woman a slave. Now, let me explain something to you, right? I'm a woman who's been married for 20 years, right? And let me explain something. We have 3 children, 18 years old, 17 years old, and 12 years old. Let me tell you what people are not telling you, right? When you work as a partnership, meaning two people become one. It is a lighter load on both people. Now, the work has changed, right? A lighter load on 2 people, meaning 2 people get together. There's not 2 apartments or 2 houses. They're not 2 bills, 2 phone bills, 2 light bills, 2 water bills, right? They're not 2 of all those things, right? So if you come together, for the most part, yes, you do reduce it. Of course, when you have kids, it increases, right? But let me just help you out a little bit, because sometimes I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Sometimes it's just so frustrating. I want you to think about when you have children. Children are just an idea a husband and wife has, right? So you go from an idea to creating human beings. You go from like, oh, I want children. You have 0 children and you all make children. You just created a whole human being. I don't know if you realize that creating a human being is a phenomenon. Like a human being is a whole new person that did not exist. This idea that raising a human being from 0 to adulthood is supposed to be easy is very annoying. The idea that raising a human being from 0 to being an adult that can do their own thing, that's supposed to just come easy for you, is delusional at best. So yes, when you get married and you're raising small children, is it going to be challenging? You better believe it. Is it hard? Yes, it's hard. How dare you require it to be easy? They cannot feed themselves. They cannot clothe themselves yet. They cannot do everything. So in the beginning, initially, yes, there's a lot of effort required. That's what we signed up for, to create another human being. That's the requirement. It's like when you go to get your degrees, you go to school and they say, this is the prerequisites. This is what you have to do to pass the classes. This is the papers you have to write. You do the work and you get the outcome. You have a whole baby and you guys have children. Yes, it's difficult. And you're like, oh, we're a slave because women do more. There are things that you don't have to do once you're married. There are things that you don't do that your husband do, the invisible tax that he's doing too. Now, you're going to say, well, the burden is mostly on the women. You have the breast. The womb, you have the womb. What do you want him to do? Nurture the child like you do? Stop letting these miserable, bitter women give you advice. Is motherhood challenging? Yes. Do you see how we celebrate Mother's Day? We have no one's denying that it's challenging. Do you see how we celebrate mothers on Mother's Day? Do you see when it's Father's Day? It's like in this household we celebrate because we have a great man, we have a great father, right? In this household we celebrate just as loud, right? But in the world you see, but with everything equal, right? When it comes to the child rearing, of course we're the nurturers. You have breasts. The kid immediately, that's why there's something called mommy guilt. I've never heard of father guilt. They're not wired that way. You want men to be women so badly. I want him to be hunting. Go make the money. Go provide. Go do the thing. I got this part. That's why it's called partnership. Stop listening to people. Some of this conversation is so elementary, it's so delusional, and people are paying the price on the back end of it. Women who are embracing whole, decenter men. Do you see how silly that sounds? Imagine if men work on decenter women. It's a partnership. We both need each other. But the delusional aspect of it is that motherhood should just be easy. And that raising a family should just come easy. Did your doctorate, your master's degree, did your bachelor's degree come easy? Did your driving test come easy? Some people yes, some people no. Did everything in your life come easy? Did the losing weight come easy? The good stuff is challenging and it's okay. Bringing a whole human being into this world is a phenomenon. And is it challenging raising them from an idea to a whole human adult? Yes. Give yourself a pat on the back. Say, okay, we did this. Why get mad and miserable about it? He's doing things that I don't want to do. So yes, there's some things that you're doing that you don't have to do if you were by yourself. So let's stop this whole, being a mother is a slave. Those women, they want you to believe that. And you know why? Because they miscalculated and they were listening to people who gave them the wrong advice, and now they have regrets, and they're hoping they can convince enough of you so there could be a whole group of you who are singing the same tune. It makes no sense, because guess what? If we're all childless, none of us would be here. Ding dong. Does that even make sense? If we're all, let's go all the way to the end. If we're all childless, none of us would be here. So that cannot be the answer is what I'm saying. If we're all childless because, motherhood is worse for women. If we are all deciding that we're extinct, what part of that is not, and this is not a case to convince someone who doesn't want children to have it. Not at all. I'm just saying that can't be the solution to there are no good men out there. So we have to take things back. That cannot be. It's very elementary. It's very superficial. And I want to use other choice words because it's just, they're wasting your time.
I truly believe that feminism is the worst thing that's ever happened to society. And I say that with knowing the fact that I am very privileged to be able to vote and to contribute to the democracy that I live in. It literally ruined everything. It ruined everything. Because in the 1950s or 60s or whatever, you could support a family of 4, 5, 6, whatever, on one salary. You could have a house and a car and 2 cars and send your kids to school, and gas was 50 cents and all this other garbage. And now people have to have 2 income households, or single moms are barely getting by. Single parents are barely getting by. On top of that, I'm now expected to work, which is the most trash thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Maybe I feel that way because I don't have a big, strong career or whatever, and I'm just a server. I love my kids. I think going to work and having to be separate from them, especially my son, he's 9 weeks old now, and I have to go back to work because we need the money. We're financially screwed if I didn't, right? My theory on feminism is that it was started by actually big corporations, and it was so that they could get more people in the workforce and they could get more people to pay taxes, and so that the rich people could get richer. That's my theory on why feminism was actually started. Call me crazy.
Black women, please don't fall for the feminist movement part 2. They're out here telling women to leave their husbands if he voted for Trump. Are you kidding me? Like, don't fall for it. Seriously. We already went through this before, right? And look what it did to the community. Look what it did to Black families. Don't be gullible. Don't be impulsive. Don't let your emotions take over and have you lose everything. Your family. The other side of it is, like, you and your husband didn't talk about your political views. Y'all didn't have these conversations up until Tuesday. You didn't know this until he came home and said, honey, I voted for Trump. Like, that's another conversation. Like, why didn't you know prior to that? And understand why your husband voted in that way. But to be out here telling women the best thing we can do is just divorce these men. Don't get tricked out of your spot, period.
I did not know that the feminist rhetoric had gotten so bad. Like, it's so far gone to the point where it has convinced you ladies that motherhood is not even worth doing. Wow, that's crazy. Do y'all know it's women out here who can't even fucking have kids? It's women out here who's like literally at the church altar praying on their knees every day to bear a child. But then you have women in the same world who have opted out because they say, oh, it's a sacrifice. I don't want to give up this and give up that. Like, you know, we weren't put here to live for ourselves, right? Like, this is insane. Feminism done fucked y'all up. It's, ooh, boy.
If a man said these things I'm about to say, he'd be crucified. But I'm a woman, so let's talk. All you hear about is toxic masculinity, but what about toxic femininity? It gets glamorized. Modern feminism has taught women to be exactly everything that they hate in men. Emotionally unavailable, selfish, prideful, lack of accountability. I mean, y'all already know accountability is like a woman's kryptonite, and I could say that wholeheartedly because I've been that woman. Men are taught, step up, be leaders, be men, be protectors, be providers. And then it's like women are told you deserve more, no matter how you act. I mean, we say we want accountability, unless it's only for men. And if the woman's the problem, we just call it trauma. Be patient with her. It's trauma. If a man is considered the problem, we call it abuse. Now, I'm not saying some of that is not true in some cases, so don't flip my word. And I'm sorry, ladies, but the toxic dating culture is not trash because of men. It's trash because people nowadays lack conviction, they lack integrity. I mean, y'all wanted equality until it came with consequences. Y'all have a blessed day. Jesus is king.
These women learned the hard way that nobody told them the full truth about what certain experiences would actually feel like. Like they got sold a version of freedom or fun or liberation, and then the reality showed up and it was just not that. The one-night stand girl who ended up pregnant in another country. The girl who got humiliated and then found a gummy to fix it. The woman who literally had to fake a family emergency to escape a smelly man. Nobody warned them about the messy, unglamorous, sometimes genuinely dangerous reality of the situations they walked into. Then there's the street life story, and that one sat with me differently. Because that girl wasn't seduced by ideology. She was a teenager who was already out of options, already in survival mode, and she made a calculated decision with the information she had. She asked someone to teach her, which is honestly more self-aware than a lot of people give her credit for, even if the world she was navigating was brutal. The two women speaking about feminism, Joy and the Nigerian woman, they're coming from genuinely different cultural backgrounds, but landing in similar places. And whether you agree with them or not, what they're really expressing is a feeling of betrayal, like something promised them one thing and delivered loneliness or confusion or chaos instead. That's worth sitting with, even if you push back on their conclusions. And then the more chaotic stories. The Breaking Bad guy, the thumb situation. Underneath the humor, there's actually something real there too. People chasing connection in the dark, literally and figuratively, and finding something messy and weird and human instead of what they imagined. Expectations versus reality, and how almost nobody has an honest conversation with young people, especially young women, about what things actually feel like, not just what they're supposed to feel like. Not the feminist version, not the traditional version, just the honest version. That gap between the story you're told and the morning you wake up in is where almost every one of these stories lives.